Back, ladies and gentlemen, to day 2 of North American Challenger League. I am Rapid. With me is Egad, and we'll be bringing you guys our second game of the night. It's Team Coast taking on the new roster of Gold Gaming Los Angeles for what should be one of the best games of the evening.
Yeah, this is my highlighted matchup for the night, and you already see some familiar names. If you don't know them, you should know them now. It's Bishu, Otter coming in as well. Knight is her main, formerly of TBD, joining them as support. And Quas, the god up top, known for his Poppy that we saw in one of the Challenger games that me and Rapid cast as his Swain that he's known for in the Challenger scene. And then Korkev's going to take up that jungle. But on the side of Coast, all those names you guys know and love from the LCS, they did get relegated, so now they're just keeping fresh and keeping warm, as well as taking on the nice up-and-coming Challenger scene talent.
Fresh and warm, two things I enjoy being myself and currently experiencing, so nice to know that we have some things in common. But do want to welcome everybody to the show. It's going to be interesting that GGLA and Coast, they've never played each other before outside of just scrims. So this is kind of a new roster for GGLA and a new kind of a matchup for Team Coast. They've experienced a lot in the last week because they were the 10th team to qualify for NACL. They came all the way through the bracket, took out Denial Esports twice, I think, but only won by one game each time. So very, very close series. So it's nice to see that, like you said, they are keeping warmed up. We're going to get into picks and bans here. You already see the bans come out underway, panning out to Quas's Renekton. There's no Aatrox ban right now, so that could be a little bit rough, but as is, just first picking the jungle for Corquez is going to take away Elise.
You know what made it through, though? Issues Nidalee. I'm not sure if I picked that one up for he mains it in fives, but his Nidalee is still something that's really good, and he practices in mains all the time in solo queue. And from when he streams, from what I see, as well as you said, the Aatrox is not banned out. We could see Quas take that one up for himself, or we could see them look to pick up their bot lane combination. But Zyra, Jax picked up from the side of Coast, a pretty solid composition coming there from already. The catch potential from those roots, as well as disengage potential or engage potential from the Stranglethorn. And Jax just being an overall monster. We saw him played a lot in Worlds, and he scales very efficiently. But the side of...
there's actually a lot left open. Kassadin's available. You also have, like you mentioned, the Nidalee up, Aatrox up. There's just so much up there. I'm like, okay, well, what aren't GGLA going to pick? There's Corki as well. It's going to be Corki and actually a Janna locked in. So Nidus or Man actually going to go ahead and grab the support role before really revealing any of the game plan from these picks on GGLA.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So they want to keep their top. They want to keep their mid lane safe unless Elise goes top or mid. We've seen it a lot of times, but we'll see. Usually goes to the tanky role in the jungle. But Caitlyn Jarvan picked up for the side of Coast, so could see Nintendo X's jungle Jarvan, and then Caitlyn for Don't Mash Me and Zyra for Daydreaming on that support role. So what are we going to see Otter and Nidus pick up for Bishu and possibly Quas is the question here.
Yeah, you've left the carries for very late. Now, keep in mind there's a Jax versus X top laner matchup. So Jax really, really came out in Worlds. You saw a lot of teams play him, but it was really SK Telecom Team 1 that just said, basically, it's up to you guys to stop our Jax. You're not going to ban it out. We're just going to win. We're just going to run it every single game. Counters a lot of matchups that were previously a little bit rough to deal with. That's why you see the Renekton actually banned out, because Renekton actually does pretty decently well against Jax. So banning that out, picking the Jax second, that Elise pick better be worth it, and it's going to be an immediate lock-in onto, is it Nidalee, is it Gragas, switching things up. It's going to be a lock-in on Bishu's Nidalee.
Oh jeez. All right, so kind of going to be interesting here that AP Nidalee mid is one of the hardest things to deal with, and when she does get rolling and gets Sarah's Embrace, Death Cap, Void Staff, all that wonderful AP items that she can need, she'll just start hitting spears for about 800, 500 damage towards that mid to late stage the game. And then Shen up top for Quas is going to be really good for him. And Shifter, though, picked up LeBlanc. So I wonder if we'll see any Faker-esque plays here. Huh.
Yeah, the LeBlanc pick is actually completely standard. If you guys have ever seen Shifter play before in like the last month or so, he's been spamming LeBlanc games in solo queue. He played LeBlanc almost exclusively, with the exception of a couple of Ari games over their run through the NACL qualifiers. So he's a great LeBlanc player. I'm sure he's been watching his VODs of Hotshot GG. We'll see if he can maybe rename himself Shifter Shot GG or whatever happens as the course of the game continues. It's going to be LeBlanc versus Nidalee, but it's really never about the LeBlanc versus Nidalee matchup. It's about LeBlanc versus Jenna. It's about LeBlanc versus the backline squishy champions. And Shifter just ridiculously good at playing that champion. It's nice to see LeBlanc kind of start to come back into competitive play. I mean, Hotshot just proved, hey, if you play this champion enough, you're going to get good enough to carry with her. And Shifter, really, I have on my list of notes down here that Team Coast has actually experienced what I like to call the rise of Shifter, because with their bottom lane having some issues currently as far as just communication is concerned, Shifter has really kind of stepped up to the plate. If you've never got a chance to watch that guy's stream, definitely check him out, because it's really nice to see sort of like his mindset as he goes through carrying out games, because he is definitely a hard carry player. Picking up LeBlanc is looking to not necessarily just one-shot Bishu, put a lot of pressure mid, and then also pressure in team fights more importantly. If you watched any of the games from Team Coast versus Denial, you actually got to see a lot of Shifter's LeBlanc play highlighted.
Yeah.
If you missed those, then I believe they should be uploaded currently on YouTube. So definitely make sure to check out those games from the NACL qualifiers, but we're into the actual season. So it's going to be interesting to see if Shifter's LeBlanc still continues his sort of rampage from the qualifiers.
Yeah, and I wonder if we're going to see any lane swaps coming in from either sides. We could see that Caitlyn Zyra go up top against Quasis Shen, or we could see the 2v1 of Jax versus Corki Channa, as the push potential is much more in favor of Mashme and Daydream inside, because the Strangle Roots and the Piltover Peacemaker is actually going to push the lane quite a bit, as well as the Seeds helping to get plants and push that one down. But we'll have to see. We're going to go into a quick break before we get back with you guys loaded into the game and ready. So enjoy the music, sit back, and stay tuned.
treasure. You are my treasure. You are my treasure. Yeah, you are my treasure. You are my treasure. You are my treasure. Yeah, you. Give me your attention, baby. I gotta tell you a little something about yourself. You're wonderful, flawless, ooh, you a sexy lady. But you walk around here like you wanna be someone else. Oh, whoa. I know that you don't know it, but you're fine, so fine. Fine, so fine. Oh, whoa. Oh, girl, I'm gonna show you when you're mine, oh, mine. Mine, oh, mine. Treasure. That is what you are. Honey, you're my gold.
All right, guys.
All right. We're simultaneously welcoming you guys back to
Hello.
game 2 on day 2 of the NACL. We want to welcome you guys back to the broadcast. We are out onto the Rift for our second match. It's Team Coast in the red coming out from the upper right-hand corner of Summoner's Rift, going up against the new lineup of Gold Gaming Los Angeles. And while there are a lot of people riding the GGLA hype train after their day 1 win versus Curse Academy, both of these teams are currently undefeated in NACL. So the Salt League going to make one of these teams a little bit more salty as the game continues. But we're into our level 1s. What do you see here coming out, Ediad?
Well, we already see an aggressive invid coming in from the side of Don't Mash Me and Squad as they all just go down, throwing down the Demacian standards from Nintendo X on that Jarvan. They're all going to look to place wards out there. Daydreaming with that 5 ward start, going to drop one behind the turret as well to spot out any 2v1 switch if possible. There are pings going down as they rotate towards the Wraiths, but the side of GGLA is just holding this defensively and going to not even drop wards aggressively as they only have 1 ward in that upper tri-brush.
Yes, well, they do have one actually right on top of Team Coast as they do make their way out of the jungle. So 4 wards placed down very early on, but nothing really to capitalize off of that. You will see the second ward just placed out by Nidus. Just drop that one down. And getting back into sort of the early lane matchups, you're going to see a little bit better lane positioning as it's Nintendo, Mash Me, and Daydreamin' all coming bottom lane. It's going to be a 2v2 down there if that's where they want to go. But as soon as GGLA pass through that bottom ward by Team Coast, they're immediately going to say, all right, we want to put our dual lane in place. Quas leaves, and so apparently he's lagging things out just a little bit. We're going to get him back into the game and cross our fingers simultaneously.
Yeah, I don't know what Fingles look like, but if they're anything like Pringles, I would love to eat them.
I promise that was an R, actually, in my mind.
All right, but yeah, and now it was funny in the earlier stage of this game they were joking about having a Mash Me sit out since Auto DC, but maybe that's gonna be the new recurring joke that we see in this this league here. But now 10 Chen jokes coming out here, and looks like we're gonna see a blue start from Kevs and a blue start from Nintendo X. So nothing too crazy from the jungler sides.
Yeah, we are going to see pretty much standard things across the board. Even the ward placement is the same thing we've seen in every game so far. It's just double wards with a few little optimizations. You can put down another ward to see where your lane matchups are, and that's going to be the thing that's interesting to me, where Team Coast actually want to send all of their lanes. It does look like they're going to do duo versus duo bottom lane, and that's really interesting because it's Otter and Nidus Man as the duo lane for GGLA. And if you guys are a little bit unfamiliar, these guys have played before, and it was on a little team called Team Normal Stars. If you haven't heard of Normal Stars, let me read you a little bit of their roster. They had the bottom lane and top lane of Cognitive from iDream and Nothing Here, Jinte, the former mid laner of GGU, and a little guy named Short Dog that you guys may know now as Cloud9's Meteos. So a huge sort of pool of talent that's kind of sort of distributed itself across the North American Challenger scene, and it's really cool to see them reuniting back once again on Gold Gaming Los Angeles.
Yep, and Quas has connected back in. Everybody says they're ready. They're good to go. Bishu looks to be a little bit cold here, but now just going to see everybody start their blue buffs, and no lane swaps from either side. So 2v2s in the bot and 1v1s up top. And I want to see how Shifter is going to deal with Bishu's Nidalee, because he's running Flash Barrier. So going to try to counteract some of that burst damage that LeBlanc can present to him later on in this game.
All right, junglers jungling as you would expect. Seeing them start at their blue buffs, so it's going to be a little bit of a rotational start. Usually you'll see junglers start in the bottom half of the map and then work their way top lane for a top gank to start things off, but it's Quas on Shen going up against Zion Spartan's Jax. And if you guys know Zion Spartan, you're going to see a Ravenous Hydra at some point from this guy. It's just going to be a matter of when rather than if. But with early wards scouting out Nintendo's positioning in the jungle, and the same thing happening to Cortez, I feel like these early ganks aren't really going to be as effective. So we should see both junglers go for a little bit more of a farm-heavy start because they don't have to hold lanes in 2v1s.
Yeah, and the side of Quas and Zion Spartan, they both have spell penetration because they have that 1 AP right now, and they're just going to use that to use their abilities very efficiently and spam out the Vorpal Blades as well as the taunt that you saw from Zion Spartan up there, as well as making Sleep Strike a little bit more effective. But as for now, the junglers haven't made any pressure known in any lane. They're just farming it back up and looking to get early levels and maybe not gank to a level 5/6 point if they can.
Now, Bishu is his Nidalee versus Shifter, and we were talking about this being one of the featured games of today's broadcast. This is going to be one of the featured matchups as well. Shifter on LeBlanc, chunking out Bishu down to half HP. You can see mana starting to become an issue for Bishu, forced to sustain in lane with that Crystalline Flask, and pretty much similar starts, the only difference being that Shifter opted for another mana potion instead of just going for the 3 HP pot start.
Yeah, which is really interesting. So he'll be down a little bit of sustain. That Doran's shield as well as 1 health push and start will keep Quas fairly healthy here, especially since Zion Spartan is focusing CS instead of harassing, unlike Quas there, who was just throwing out the Vorpal Blade spam and has fallen a little bit behind, but there's a big wave on the turret. While we do have an Intended X lingering around that mid lane right now and just shows himself, and Bishu just smartly just walks back.
And that's actually going to set Nintendo behind a camp, so he's going to try to make that up by stealing away the Wraith camp. And it does have a smite available, so just going to clear out the entire camp. We'll let it respawn. That's going to set Cortez behind a camp, give Nintendo another one to kind of even up their CS, although it does put him ahead, at least for now.
Yep, and in the bot lane right now, we have Mashpee zoning out. Oh, Shifter actually connected a nice little chain there, as well as just shifting back to his position where he started that W, and now just going to see as Elise repels over the wall, gets golems, and they're just rushing their levels right now, so both junglers going to try to get an early 6 here, possibly.
Zion Spartan's actually going to take down the double goals before walking back to lane. That's really smart because it gives him a CS where he's not vulnerable. He doesn't have to worry about getting ganked. I mean, with Cortez coming down bottom lane, there's a ward in that bottom brush. He hasn't been spotted out just yet. So if we see it engaged here, he's really trying less for an actual gank and more for a counter gank, trying to see exactly where Nintendo X is. But Nintendo X is back in base buying, so that will set him at least even on items, probably a little bit ahead.
Yeah, and Don't Mash Me is actually quite ahead of Otter right now, and a pause comes out from Bishu this time, as the CS lead in the bot lane is going over to Mash Me, and Little Sorry coming out, but 14 CS for him. Quas apparently needs to fix something, so we're going to be in a little bit of a pause screen here, and hopefully get underway with things real quick.
Bishu that makes the suggestion that they should all just go to Korea because 8 ping is cool. He enjoyed his time over there. And it's nice to see Bishu sort of take a little bit of a break from, not competitive League of Legends, but from North America, just go over to Korea, try to make his way there. Train super, super hard in the hashtag hyperbolic time chamber, which is what Don't Mash Me is a pretty big fan of. Because keep in mind, Don't Mash Me actually plays a lot on the Korean server too, as he is a little bit more prolific in that area. He plays with a little bit higher ping because he's not over there, but nice to see Bishu coming back over to North America, immediately joining away. He's like, well, do I go back over to Korea? Do I stay in North America? Decided to, hey, start going to school, join a really amazing kind of super group. The individual talent here is just so strong for Gold Gaming Los Angeles. They grabbed Quas away from New World Eclipse after it disbanded, picking up Bishu as sort of a returning super talent, then reuniting the bottom lane from Team Normal Stars with Cortez in the jungle. And for most of you guys, you probably have heard of at least everyone on GGLA except for Cortez. And so he may be a little bit of a mystery. He was previously a little bit of a Nasus main, kind of like the, Delicious Milk GG. They were both sort of like Nasus superstars, but Cortez plays pretty much every jungler. He just has a few favorites here and there, and Elise is definitely one of them. So it's going to be nice to see him kind of making a trip down to bottom lane. He's going to pass through awards, so probably has the most effective gank. But Nintendo X is totally off the map, so definitely the man advantage going over to GGLA.
Yeah, and Nintendo X actually has quite a bit of a CS advantage now, too. He's 11 CS ahead, which could potentially be about 3 camps, and just keeping his farm ahead as well as trying to get those levels up. 4v4 incoming, says Nintendo X, and he does lead by 5 to... he leads with a 1 level advantage over Kevs, and no ganks have been made just yet, so lanes are just pushing out, and the natural gold lead is going to go over to Coast with that 300. And I don't know how long this pause is going to take, but we might end up sending you guys to a quick little music break.
We are actually going to have I don't think we'll necessarily need to do that. Quas is just restarting his computer. He's going to have that back up here in just a second. He apparently got connected to a little bit of a rough server when he first started the game, and so he's going to have kind of a rough time with that. Reconnecting should fix this problem, so we will be able to get that game back underway. But focusing on a couple of other things, Team Coast, they qualified through the brackets that beat Denial Esports twice, and then I think they also beat Complexity Academy. So they actually have a lot standing in their way. I don't think they ever got a chance to face off against Quantic Gaming, who also were in those qualifiers but lost to Denial. Team Coast able to beat Denial in the narrowest of series in a 3-2 victory in the grand finals there. If you guys got a chance to watch that. But I don't know. I'm not necessarily completely on board the GGLA hype trade. I think that they have a lot of initial talent, but it's going up against it's sort of raw talent from a new team versus the established roster of Team Coast. They've been together for an incredibly long time. You think back to the days of Monomaniac Esports and Team Dynamic before they got to GGU or Team Coast in LCS together just for so long. And even though Paradox and Pixel are no longer with their roster, seeing Shifter and Daydream come in has just made them such a strong team overall.
Yeah, very strong team nonetheless. And also want to say thank you to one of our subs, Mega Chill Mikey, for subbing to the channel. So thank you for joining us here and subscribing and supporting the Challenger scene. And yeah, just overall, who would you give a flat up 5v5 team fight to if they were just a brawl at level 6?
If we see 5 people show up in one lane right now, I think the more surprising thing than who wins is why on earth there are 5 people versus another 5 people in lane. Unless, side lanes suddenly become unavailable or something like that. Early team fighting, I'd have to give it to just sort of the raw engage power from Team Coast. When you look at the way that they want to play team fights, it's going to be a lot of, hey, we want to go in on you. You can see Stranglethorns be used defensively a lot of times as an counter-initiate tool, but I'm really liking Coast right now. They have a lot of burst damage from both Caitlyn and Zyra, or not Caitlyn and Zyra, but Caitlyn and LeBlanc, and especially Shifter starting to get a little bit of a CS lead. It's only 4 right now, but that's just because he's been a little bit more dominant in picking out trades. Bishu wants to sit back, wants to try to get to that sort of Rabadon's Death Cap, Athene's Unholy Grail kind of status where he just starts throwing out the spears with a very low cooldown. You should see a very early brilliance or elixir of brilliance out from him too, because he just says that item's completely broken on Italy because it gives you every stat you need. I don't know if he's just going to buy it necessarily this early, but as far as the 5v5 goes, sure there's Shen to block out a little bit of extra damage, but I don't know. Quas the God is pretty cool and everything, but I really like the team comp coming out, especially that Jax versus Shen matchup is really going to work out well for Zion Spartan.
Yeah, and if he does end up snowballing off or maybe getting a kill or something like that, we'll see how well he can go. He's going to go for that Trinity Force route. The nerfs don't affect melee bruisers with that Trinity Force with the Phage. And Nintendo actually is asking how everybody's day is. And Daydreamer responds with daydreaming. I don't know. Yeah, Doran's Blade was actually picked up a little bit earlier from Zion as he did go back to base to pick that one up. So it has a little bit of sustain, a little bit of extra health, a little bit more damage. And we'll see if he can capitalize on that over the Quas, who hasn't gone back yet.
Yeah, now Quas, like you said, hasn't had a trip back to lane, so the sustain advantage is there for Jax. He does have Doran's Blade for even more sustain and just aggressive trades in lane. Like you mentioned, he is running hybrid penetration masteries, so hybrid, not... Anyway, Armor Pen and Magic Pen going to come out there. So he's focusing more on physical damage, obviously, just because there's auto attacks. But Quas is back. He's reconnected.
Oh,
and then
he left.
sees immediately once again.
Oh my
so
God.
somewhat anticlimactic. Trying to get him back and get this game back underway. But should see things start up. No first blood. Nothing too climactic happening just yet. There's a 300 gold lead, Egad. So... I'm not sure if that's necessarily super game-changing, but all in all, things pretty even across the board.
Yeah, hopefully he'll come back into this game very rapidly. But yeah, I think we cut on everything here. We have a biscuit still available to Nidus. J-Driven did use his in exchange, and they have their potions. There's no more wards available to them. Korkev's coming in. Will be spotted out by the River Ward, if anything. And yeah, so cleanse over barrier on Don't Mash Me. What do you think? Because there's really Cocoon and Taunt to cleanse out from Don't Mash Me. You think you should have gone Barrier?
I think anytime you're going up against the Corki barrier is always going to be a pretty good idea because you don't really have to face a lot of CC from your lane. It's really just going to be the Cocoon coming in. And as a Caitlyn, you should be able to dodge that. But just in case, you are still going to see a lot of burst damage possibilities, not only from Corki, but in team fights from Nidalee. If she's throwing out those spears, you get hit. That's going to be a lot of burst damage you're really going to want a barrier from. The cleanse, I feel, is necessary for Quas because you're always going to get shadow dashed in the middle of a team fight. So once again, Quas connecting and reconnecting. So I'm not sure necessarily what's going on there, but at least we know he's around. He's waving at us from afar. No longer in Venezuela, moved to the States to go to UCLA, I believe. It's nice to have him here playing for GGLA in NACL. So hopefully he's gonna be able to play for us tonight.
We can only pray. Send him our energy. Give him a little bit of an internet bomb, maybe. Hopefully help him out. Get him back in here. And yeah, just a lot of sayings between the teammates and the enemies here on both sides. Just really funny. The chat. You guys can't see it, but they are quite the jokesters.
Well, all jokes aside, I don't have a whole lot of other notes. Mostly, I'll go over a few more sort of interesting stats about GGLA. We talked about how they're kind of made up of the old Team Normal Stars bottom lane and friends. A couple of other players that you guys might have heard of from Team Normal Stars were Wild Turtle, who used to be on the team, played a bunch of different roles there, but it was mostly a sub, as well as, like I said, Jinte, the former AP mid from Team Coast. So it's nice to see players kind of get shifted around. I think Jinte's actually left the competitive League of Legends scene and is now playing college esports. And by that, I mean doing a lot of homework and trying to focus more on his education before coming back. But he made a nice impact while he was there. I think the interesting thing is going to be the unpause here. Apparently, Quas is back and actually able to play now, so you should see him start to move around. Yeah, okay, so Quas is back, and we are going to get the game unpaused. So welcome back, everybody. Hopefully you guys enjoyed your time listening to us banter and enjoying our sultry, dulcet tones. If you didn't, well, then your choices are slightly limited. But we're going to get the game back underway, so at least you have something else to focus on. And something else should be pretty interesting, as we do see kind of counter matchups in both lanes, top and mid, for Team Coast. You can already see Shifter definitely playing that lane to his advantage, sending Bishu out down to around 300 HP.
Yeah, and just going to see them trading back and forth here, as there is the 3v2 down bot. Nintendo X is rotating down there right now. And the shield gets applied to Otter. He shoves the wave out with that phosphorus bomb. A pink ward gets dropped out. And Nintendo X doing what he did yesterday, actually, picking up an early pink ward and trying to control that dragon pit. While there are pings on a Nidus from main right there, he does get knocked out. The shield comes out. Everybody backed already, so Nidus is by himself. It looks like he's going to try to run away here with that forecast Janus skin. Throws out a tornado. They disengage, and he will be okay.
All right, so Crisis averted down there. Nidus having a little bit of a rough time. You can see the aggressive start, but it's actually Bishu forced to pop a barrier of his own, and that Summoner Spell not necessarily necessary. Keeps him alive. He's going to stay in lane with the heals. That's a little bit rough decision-making there. He's out of sustain, doesn't have any potions or crystalline flask charges. He's just going to be CSing with spears. I'm not sure why he's not going back, but Shifter is just freezing the lane out there like a boss, and that pressure, or that lack of pressure from the mid lane on GGLA will give the first very early dragon over to Team Coast.
All right, and I want to give a shout-out to our new sub, ANAL420. Still subscribing. Thank you for subscribing to us. And hope you enjoy the content that we bring you. Bishu, though, pushing down that mid lane. Shifter is level 6. He jumps in with a double dash and gets first blood, going all the way back to that brush that he entered in. And that will be first blood going over to Coast, as well as the first dragon of the game, and a nice 1.7k gold lead.
Yeah, that was kind of confusing choice there by Bishu to not make it back to base. I mean, losing CS is bad and everything, but dying for it is definitely not what you want. That's going to give the 300 or 400 gold lead, as it was first blood, over to Shifter. And if you look at the gold count he's sitting on, 2,100 gold in his pocket. He can just walk back to base or recall back to base and grab away a needlessly large rod, which is almost certainly what he's going to go for. As LeBlanc, anytime you can get that sort of early burst of ability power, makes it so hard to stay in lane.
Yep, and now with that little lead, they're going to be feeling very strong. Shifter with the first blood as well, going to net himself some extra gold for that back. He's got 2,200 right now, And are we going to see him rush G or maybe pick up some Doran's rings? Is the big question here. He can pick up needlessly large rod, actually.
Yeah, I'm expecting an easily large rod. You're going to see actually more cooldowns come out. And there it is, the very early Brilliance Elixir and Fiendish Codex. If you look at the cooldown reduction from Bishu, he's sitting at 40% capped cooldowns right now. So very interesting. He's actually going to hop around and go for a red buff steal. Interesting to see the AP mid laner stealing that away. And it's just a clear steal right across the bat. Bottom lane, Otter getting chunked out there. But already Bishu making that the early cooldown reduction count. Going with a full 40% CDR.
Yep, and now he has red buff stolen away, and that 40% CDR is huge for lane. He'll be able to keep himself sustained up with that heal, but he'll run out of mana a little bit faster if he does spam out the abilities, unless he gets a blue buff for himself from his teammate, but it hasn't respawned just yet. It actually has respawned, but Corkevs did take that for himself. And now, in that mid lane, the needlessly large rod from Shifter is just going to be a huge factor against Bishu, who doesn't even have barrier yet. It's going to be coming up in the next about 20 seconds. And Shifter with blue buff right now is going to have so much CDR as he does get the root. And is he going to chase him down with the ultimate? He does. He just chunks him out again, taking about the 310 HP. The heal comes out, though. 135 health heal from that one. Intended X is in mid lane right now. Kevs connects the Cocoon on the Don't Mash Me. The root, the Strangleton from Daydream to disengage. They're flashing away, keeping himself safe and keeping Mash Me's summoner spell safe. And good job from Daydreaming to disengage that one very well.
Yeah, the disengage is going to be really, really key. From not only Daydreaming, who's more of a disengaged monster, but also I feel like Nidus or Man is going to have his hands full because he's going to be going up against a Zion Spartan who's going to be able to dive him out there. The Shifter who targets supports all day like there's food. It's really interesting to see the way the Shifter plays this LeBlanc because it's not necessarily to chunk out tanks or to even chunk out 80 carries. He just wants to make it a 4v5 and will go for the support every time. And in that regard, going for a Janna is actually pretty good because you're going to have the shield to block out a little bit of extra damage. You could see her, she's actually going for a little bit more sustain early instead of just raw HP. And I feel like definitely grabbing that side stone is what you're going to want on support just to make sure that you're a little bit less vulnerable. A Shifter who, like we mentioned, went back to base, picked up a Doran's ring and that needlessly large rod.
Yeah, and down bot right now, Nidus has hit level 6. The snipe comes out, chunking down to about 150 HP. Otter, though, doing so much damage to Mash Me. You know he was in a barrier, goes in, auto attack, picks up the kill, flashing away from the Zyra plant right now. Daydreaming gets exhausted. The slow comes out from Nidus, the channel from the hurt, from the Monsoon, actually. Gonna heal Otter back up. Is he gonna go back in on this right now? Nidalee is coming from the side. Bishu throws a spear. It does not connect. Bishu gonna chase him down, 20% CDR. That pounces up in a second. He flashes in, gets the bite, bounces right back out with a swipe. And the passive hits from Daydreaming, though, but no one else is there to follow it up. He spears a minion, while Shifter, though, connects. Nope, doesn't connect the root right there. The repel over the wall coming over. Shifter looking to not chase that one down just yet. And lets Corkevs get away, but a nice play from Bishu to secure a kill in that bot lane and taking the kill lead to 2-1.
Yeah, so that will put kills in favor of GGLA, but at the same time, you have to look at a little bit more than just the big numbers on the screen because there are numbers that are slightly larger but smaller in font size. First turret going down, it's a smaller number, but it's a bigger effect on the game as it is going to be the second global objective taken down. First one was the dragon, which actually died behind the turret. Shifter immediately getting cocooned, has their distortion back out there. Corkez wants to get the cocoon. Burst damage back from Shifter, takes it down. Ignite is taking last stick of Ignite. Will it be enough? No. Corkez stays alive with 19 HP.
That Shen Shield as well as that health potion keeping him alive right there. So very close call with that one. Shifter does get out of there. They save the mid turret. Shen Ultimate's going to be down for another 2 minutes though. So that's going to be a little bit of global relief for the side of Coast. While Nintendo X holds off Bishu's push here with a little bit as Spear comes out, does connect. And I'm interested to see if we're going to see some cool Nidalee snipes coming out, especially with him building Athenes and Holy Grail as his first items to get that extra, is it 15 or 20% CDR? 20%.
It is 20 with the 3% from Masteries, and he's just able to jump between the side camps. We already saw him steal away the red buff earlier on, so impressive play there from Bishu. Well, a little bit less impressive pounce, but you know, it's the big thing that we're supposed to focus on from GGLA is not just going to be Bishu and how he matches up against Shifter, but it's going to be kind of the jungle pressure rotating around because, yes, I did say the word rotate, but it's a little bit more effective here because it speaks to how good Nintendo X's map positioning is. Immediately, he's making his way down bottom lane. That's where Corkez was looking for a counter gank, but he's going to back off, and that means that Nintendo X actually has a little bit better positioning. The only issue with that was he's standing on top of wards, so probably not where you're going to want to look for a gank.
Speaking of Bishu right now, though, JinTX Bishu, thank you for subscribing to the channel, supporting us. We will hopefully, I don't know, thank you even more. But there you go. You got the sub. Thank you so much. And now we're going to focus on the bot lane here. Otter does get the shield. There's a slow apply to Daydream, and Nidus is going to try to zone him away. Poke coming out. Snipe connects as well. Otter gets junked in the face. And now there might be a blue buff fight here coming out from Bishu and Shifter. While up top, Zion Spartan is trading with Quas. Ignite gets dropped. He does have the ultimate activated. Gets Leap Strike. Has the W ready. Can he pick him off? Feint is going to block that damage. And he will be able to back right on out.
Quas has a very, very early Sunfire cape, some sustain, but it's really more about just the aggressive trade potential from Zion Spartan, who went with a very early Vamp Scepter instead of just rushing that Trinity Force, and you can tell that's the extra HP, that's the sustain in lane that he needs to just make Quas have a little bit of a rougher time. You should still see Quas able to go back to base to pick up a Negatron Cloak, because he is sitting on about 700 gold, but he's going to need a few more minions to take that down, and while that pressure is off of the top lane, Stand United down, Coast does not have to worry about Shen showing up and making it a 5v4, and they will take out their second dragon in a row.
Yeah, so taking that control, but now we have Bishu trying to push down this mid lane. Corkez is helping him out there. Shifter and Nintendo X responding though, while Otter and Nidus just keep on pushing this lane. That tier 1 is still dead. But up top, it's kind of been an island between Quas and Zion Spartan, so no one really looking to go up there just yet. And with that ultimate that Quas did earlier, Zion Spartan did succeed in taking the CS advantage by about 11 at this point and pressuring this tier 1 turret with Nintendo X roaming up top, so potentially could see another dive here.
That is a potential. I think the biggest thing to watch out for is going to be how can Quas outplay this. Has a Shadow Dash available, but it's really not going to be what he's looking for. Gets Cataclysm, flashes away, one more turret shot to take it down, but no. Looks like Nintendo X will make it out. Bishu's coming up here, has the mobility to get onto Zion Spartan. Zion without a lot of mana, completely low on mana, or out of mana right now. Bishu with the blue buff could throw in all those spears, forces the flash. Everybody makes it out alive for Team Coast. They will pick up the kill onto Dr. Quas, but still backing out, really relinquished a lot of pressure out on the map.
He leap strike to the Demacian standard to get away from that. That was really good play there by Zion Spartan. This tier 1 on the bot lane is looking to take a lot of damage. The shield's coming out from Nidus on that Janna there, trying to deny some of that damage. But there is a ping on the Shifter, and that tier 1 on the bot lane is going to go down. Daydream takes a turret shot for that one, and throws out a plant. And with this next wave, the turret will fall as Otter did roam towards mid and looks to take out the tier 1 in the mid lane in response for this bot lane turret, as Shifter just destroyed that whole wave with his ultimate.
Yeah, that's one of the great things you could do as a LeBlanc is if you just want to completely wave clear things, you just double distortion, and that's exactly what you need. Bishu taking that sigil of silence damage. And really nice to see Shifter sort of playing this champion in a really different way, because he's able to fully utilize the utility. Oh, and even that passive calls him chunked down to half HP. Shifter gonna make it back to base alive, but the great thing about playing LeBlanc versus Nidalee is that if you get hit by a huge Nidalee spear, then your mirror images pops and it doesn't quite kill you just straight off the bat. So it's a nice way of avoiding a little bit of that burst damage, but even still, it's going to make it pretty rough. Zion Spartan versus Quas to the top lane, putting that damage down onto the turret, isn't necessarily able to fight Quas right now, but he's able to get damage on turrets faster and outpush Quas in lane. So he's just going for the straight up turret kill, try to push that lane out.
Yeah, and thanks to another new sub, Anus420, for subbing to the channel. Thank you very much for your support. And Bishu with that blue buff now, though, just harassing down with spears and poking away. And that mid turret is seeming to be the next target here, but Quas is holding up top. Otter is roaming towards the mid lane to make it a 4v4 down there, or in lane right there.
So for right now, the pressure in the mid lane is actually going to go in favor of, I feel like, GGLA, because this is exactly where they want to be. They want to be 5v5, sieging out turrets and letting Bishu really wreak havoc with those long-range Nidalee spears. He's just pushing Shifter and Mashme almost single-handedly back to their turret. It's going to be up to Team Coast to keep that turret alive because it's only sitting with 3 HP out of 2550. So they're going to have their work cut out for them, because as soon as GGLA push it onto that, Team Coast is just going to have to give up the turret. They could look for a counter initiation off of that, but they're just going to give the turret away, and that will give both the turret advantage to GGLA. They're still behind in gold due to the 2 dragons in favor of Team Coast, though.
Yeah, and right now, Zion Spartan was diving onto Quas right there, doing a bunch of damage to him, and taking a few turret shots for his trouble, though. And there's a nice big wave down there for Don't Mash Me to farm up, as he is taking a CS advantage over Otter right now. And this game is turning into quite a little farm fest, and who would you want the farm... No. Who would you give an advantage to if they had the farm lead?
Well, I mean, if you have the farm lead, you're going to have a little bit of an advantage anyway. But
Yeah, well,
I think the bigger thing to focus on is the individual lane advantages. And even though Bishu does have a kill and is starting to stack up towards that Rabadon's death cap, even does have that Brilliance Elixir as well. The Spears started to come out, chunking down Nintendo X to 3/4 HP, almost went in there. Bishu, but Shifter already has that Deathfire Grasp. So Shifter plays LeBlanc a lot like you'd see an Ari play, just with a little bit of a different damage style. It's going to be 2v1 right there. The Cocoon, unfortunately, from Cortez landing onto a minion, so we'll have to wait a little bit to see that initiation attempt. Shifter staying safe for at least for now. And really, I feel like a lot of the lanes are just sort of playing back, playing passively, trying to farm things up instead of looking for any sort of aggressive playmaking attempts. Cortez is really going to be the playmaker here for GGLA as he drops a ward and heads on up the top lane. Zion Spartan and Don't Mash Me going to be going up against the newly shifted lane rotation from Otter, being joined out by Nidus Man.
Daydreaming just got chunked out right there, and now the tier 1 in the top lane is being pressured by 3 members as they all rotate around that. Quas is split pushing bot lane right now, and Shifter trying to take out this mid. He does connect the root, the knockout comes out, the damage as well. Shed Ultimate comes out to keep Bishu safe, and they can't kill him as he does survive through that one. Quas comes in with a taunt, does not connect though, and wow, that was very close. Bishu was so close to dying there. Godlike reflexes from Quas. The Cocoon comes out as now they're chasing down Nintendo X. Venomous Bite comes out. He just EQs away from that one, though. He's fairly tanky at this point. The tier 1 up top did fall, and now we do have a 3-man push coming in mid from the side of GGLA.
Mid and Nid doing a lot of damage to that turret. The damage is less about, actually auto-attacking it, and more going to be about if they want to go for this dive, because I feel like Nintendo Chunk Down is really incapable of just fully diving in there, but without anybody to hard engage, this is just the poke damage coming out, take down the second mid turret, and all of a sudden GGLA are up 4-1 after taking down both mid turrets. And keep in mind, Zion Spartan that whole time is sitting bottom lane trying to split push. He's almost doing a little bit better of a job split pushing than Quas is after he used that Stand United to come to the fight.
Yeah, for sure. And now Dragon is going to be snatched up here by the side of GGLA. That's going to be their first one of the game, as we saw Team Coast pick up 2 for themselves. And they're going to be content with that, as well as snag away a nice little gold lead and a lot of map pressure, because the Dragon's going to be gone for a few minutes, as well as the tier 2 in the mid lane has fallen. So the outer turrets in the bot and top lane are going to look to be the next targets for GGLA.
I think that GGLA are playing a very different game from Coast. Coast are all about individual champion strength. They have LeBlanc, a great 1v1 burst champion. They have Jax, an incredible duelist, and the sort of long-range poke lane from Mash Me and Daydreamin' is going to be a really dominant force in those duels as well. But for GGLA, they just want objectives. They're saying, hey, we can poke you off objectives. Nintendo actually going to go on to Cortez, no grasping roots to land, and the CC to come out from the Cocoon from Cortez. They just disengage that fight. But like I said, GGLA are looking for objectives. They have objective pressure from split pushing on Shen. They have objective pressure from Bishu, able to poke things out with spears. They are going to lose their middle turret, but at what cost is the question. And the answer to that is going to be only the second turret taken down. Now Otter getting a little bit jumped on by Zion Spartan in the bottom lane.
Yeah, with that Ginsu's Rage Blade and that Trinity Force, it's going to be very hard for them to kill him. But red buffed up Otter and the nicer man down there to help him out. Could look to take him out. But Oracles is picked up now. The wards are going to be cleared out. And we will look to see as Zion Spartan does go back to base and spend some of his gold that he does have. And look to maybe rush towards a Blade of the Rune King at this point. And try to finish up his fairly damaged build and then go for some tank to help out his team.
Yeah, that's pretty much the top lane build of choice for a lot of bruisers. It's Trinity Force and then a Blade of the Ruined King, just to make you even that much stronger at just going for those duels. And it's really going to help Zion Spartan out as now Quas. He started trying to go to the tanky route, but you cannot sustain through Jax's damage. It's just a little bit too ridiculous, especially when he starts to get those carry-oriented items. He's one of the only top laners that can build just straight offensive items and still be effective in team fights, because you get the more offense you build, the more defenses you get from activating Grandmaster's Might. And so currently is actually he's granted, I think, 60 armor and then 40 magic resist from just activating that, just because he has so many offensive hybrid stats. So Zion Spartan, really unparalleled lane strength right now. He's strong in lane, but once again, it's 4-2 at turrets as the objective pressure from GGLA has been so strong over the early course of the game. The only problem is we're starting to get to late game, and with the third turret falling there for GGLA, I really feel like Team Coast they've lost a lot early on, but they're going to be stronger as we enter the mid to late game.
All right, and now with the Oracles, Nidus is going to be able to clear out the wards, take control of their side of the jungle once again, and clear out the vision from the side of Team Coast. And Daydreaming doing the same though, but taking over the Baron side as well as the blue side of GGLA. So we will see wards come out there, and Red Buff going to go over to Zion Spartan here and make him pretty much an uncombatible duelist at this point, especially with that Trinity Force and Bilgewater Cutlass. We will look to see if he just keeps on split pushing, or maybe looks to join the team as Bishu throws the Spirit out, and it does not connect there. But now, GGLA, we're going to look to see what their next move is, as they are rotating around towards that Baron pit and maybe looking to keep Nidus safe while he clears out wards.
So at least for now, things are going to take a little bit of a turn for the passive side, with teams not really looking for a very aggressive rotation. You can see that Don't Mash Me actually the one split pushing every single game I've seen him play, even just over the course of the qualifiers as Team Coast went through that bracket to qualify for NACL. Mash Me had like 100 CS advantage over his lane opponent. It's only 20 now, or it's only about 7 now. So I don't know if that just signals. It's a testament to Otter's strength as an AD carry. Individually, Bishu's like, hey Nidus, come back. We got to kill this ward. But Otter rather. If you guys watched his sort of Zuna-like play yesterday, he's just jumping into unfavorable matchups and just outplaying the heck out of whoever he wants to go up against. Zion Spartan, he's waiting in that little tiny brush, waiting for Quas to come back. And now that Quas has overpushed himself, he's gonna. I'm not sure where Zion's gonna come in, but he's gonna come in from behind, which is where Corky feels his enemies coming in.
Knock up the root, the burst damage. Bishu gets blown up there by Shifter, while up top Zion Spartan is just decimating Quas right there with those W procs as well as the passive proc. The taunt comes out, does not connect. Zion Spartan pops the dodge and now is going to dive underneath that. Quas flashing away though. The flash from Zion Spartan picks up the kill, and they just went 2 for none for Coast.
And that's what I talked about. Team Coast's individual champion strength is so unabashedly, there we go, higher than GGLA's. And you saw that in Zion Spartan just dove straight in onto Quas, recognized that he had baited him out away from that turret, leapt back in that leap strike and hit the stun off, able to flash away, get out in time, and that's going to be 2-kill advantage for Team Coast. They lost the last dragon though, so even though the early pressure went to, or the early dragons went to Team Coast, GGLA's been able to take those back later on. And the early tower pressure went to GGLA early, but Team Coast are starting to bring that back. So this game is just switching all over the place, but I like where Team Coast are sitting right now. They have the actual champion strength, so as long as they don't get outplayed by backdoors or by split pushing Quas, I think they're going to be okay.
Yeah, and if you get some good Nidalee poke coming out from some max range spears or even half distance spears, Bishu, if he can capitalize on anything from Nidalee, it's that. But look at Nintendo X and Zion Spartan right now. They're 2-manning Baron in the pit. There's a pink ward in there. There's no vision from the side of GGLA. And this one could go over to them with a very sneaky and smart play from the side of Team Coast.
Coast are 2-manning Baron. Zion Spartan is just ridiculously strong. Blade of the Red King Trinity Force. He can almost just do the Baron by himself. He's going to have a little bit of moral support with that pink ward in the back of the Baron pit. This is going to be a 26-minute 2-man Baron. Team Coast taking it out.
Wow, and now they see the Baron buff on them. They're just a little too late there. Nidus was not able to drop any wards. Daydreaming to clear out those wards. And Nintendo X with Zion Spartan 2-manning that Baron. Very smart play at 26 minutes, taking that one out for the team. And now Coast has that spike in damage and in tankiness. They get the extra regen from that. So we will see if they look to 5-man push or just let Zion do his thing and 4-man push.
Yeah, the 4-man push is just going to be ridiculously strong, no matter who decides to go for it, but it's definitely going to go in favor of GGLA. They will take down their second dragon in a row, so 2 dragons for each team, and that's really weird because you don't see that all that often. Usually it's one team that uses the early global gold from dragon to kind of snowball their lead over the course of the rest of the game, but now it's 2 dragons apiece. Team Coast, you can see, they had an early focus on getting that global objective and just getting strong in their lanes, and decided, hey, you know, we'll take down the turrets later on. GGLA took down 4-1 early on in turrets, but haven't really done anything as far as objectives since then, as far as towers are concerned. So yeah, it's interesting to see that shift in priorities, because I feel like it's just going to go the way of Coast. Dragons are cool and everything, but they don't make your champions just individually stronger until you're able to get those big items completed. Speaking of items completed, you're seeing a very early Führer upgrade on the Sorcerer's Shoes from Otter, as well as the Last Whisper completed. So Otter actually sitting really, really well right now. as Don't Mash Me actually going to go for a Bloodthirster next instead of rushing the armor penetration that you see from Otter.
And Shifter right now is looking to make a pick. He's very, very cautiously moving in and making sure that Daydreamin has cleared out the wards with his own oracles, and he might snipe out Bishu here. He gets the DFG, gets the flash, gets the ultimate, and the dash on top of the shields. The barrier, the Shadows with the ignite is not going to take him down. It looks like Bishu picks it up with a spear, though. It lives with, what, 5 HP? 20 HP.
Oh my goodness.
God.
Bishu just gave Shifter the D-shoe there. Got out with like single-digit HP. Makes it back to base alive. You gotta know he's feeling good about himself right now. A blue buff as well. Won't even have to be using that Brilliance Elixir as he has max cooldowns. Running out of base, just hippity hopping his way back into lane. GGLA definitely earning the first 2 letters of their name.
Yeah, that was okay. I didn't think the ignite was gonna fade away there, but Bishu lives. He heals himself. Otter now looking to go in on Zion Spartan. Is that smart? He flashes away from the dodge though. He can't kite him down. Blade of the Rune King with red buff gonna be effective here. Zion Spartan taking him out in 1v1. Otter getting a little too aggressive right there, and Zion Spartan does get the kill on the dueling master. While Bishu actually chasing down Intended X right now, gonna chunk him out there. There is the bite, and then he switches back into human form, harassing him down with those spears and the auto attacks as the roots not gonna connect, jumping through the wall. Looks like a spear comes out, connects him to Shifter though, and Bishu gonna get caught out here, flashing away with that leap. A nice tornado to disengage from that. Spiderling gonna just harass the wave a little bit, and Bishu gonna keep on pouncing away like a little kitty cat. And look for more harass with those spears as he does heal himself back up and use his max CDR2 effectiveness.
Yeah, I thought that was a Stranglethorns because it knocked everybody up. It was actually a nice tornado, like you mentioned. I think it was Howling Gale. Yeah, I was going to call it Monsoon, but that's the ultimate. So Howling Gale, yeah, Nidus or Man, really sort of being that disengaged force that Jenna is. Jenna was sort of like the pre-Zyra. People would always pick her if you wanted to run a split push comp because she was great at disengaging. But Zyra's pretty darn good at that too, and you can see the use of that Stranglethorns to kind of get the same effect down in that bottom lane. So at least for now, we're starting to see Zion Spartan get to that level where there's not a lot that can deal with him. He can't, Otter can't 1v1 him, Quas can't 1v1 him. Bishu may be able to if you get the poke damage, but he has the Blade of the Ruined King to sustain through that, as well as a lot of MR. You can see he immediately goes back to base and picks up the Spectre's Cowl.
Yeah, and now we're gonna see as they do feel a little bit wary now. Otter cannot 1v1 Zion Spartan. Zion Spartan is 3-0, as he said, to pick up the spear, the Spectral Cowl. Gonna go for that. Most likely, Fear Visage, unless he goes for Banshee Veil, not sure. Maybe he wants to stop a spear or two. But he will keep his split pushing game on, as no one can 1v1 him right now, not even Quas.
Yeah, and whenever you say the sentence, Quas can't 1v1 you, that's like, I don't know. It's been a while since I've heard those words. Cortez, though, gonna get the cocoon out on a Zion Spartan. He's gonna get out of there. You know, he's seen the devastation that Zion Spartan has wrought on the rest of the world, does not want any part of that. And that means that you're gonna have at least 2 people forced to come try to take Zion Spartan out, and this is exactly where he wants to be. It's gonna get jumped on by Otter. It turns it right back around, jumping onto Otter. It's a 3v1. Can he disengage?
Waiting on the side. Can he do it? Can he get the damage off? He's actually just walking around there. There's a disengage from the Monsoon. The chain connected, but it wasn't enough. And Zion Spartan is just gonna walk right out of there with the help of Shifter, just scaring them away.
Bishu, in the meantime, will take a little bit of poke damage on of his own. Don't Mash Me using the ace in the hole to take him down, but he has a heal up. The spears continue to come out. Daydreamin', half HP off of just 1 spear. Deathcap, Athene's Unholy Grail, Sork Shoes, and a Void Staff almost about to come out. Another spear lands, chunking Daydreamin' out. You can't sit around and take that damage because you're never going to be able to fight a 4v5. And what Bishu's spears are actually doing is allowing the rest of GGLA to send 2 people to stop the Zion Spartan split push, which is a really great reaction to that. The only problem is that's going to be their secondary middle turret going down off of that pressure. Mashme doing a great job, not only dodging out those spears, but really pressuring objectives. Team Coast still down a turret against GGLA, but they are definitely bringing it back.
They are definitely bringing it back. They're looking to do what they can to keep the zone away. Minute left on that Baron spawn, and 30 seconds left on that Dragon respawn, so you will see which objective each team wants to control, as I think Baron Coast wants to control that one, and maybe look for a sneaky little steal again if they can. Not steal, but a sneaky little taking of that Baron if they can. But for now, just everybody farming back up oracles for both supports and just trying to control their own jungles for this time being. And going to look to control the Baron in the next 40 seconds, and just going to have everybody going back and picking up some items.
Interesting that you mentioned the items, because I was going to talk about the jugglers first. This is going for the individual strength of picking up a Randuin's Omen, just so he cannot die immediately to Jax. The only issue is that Nintendo X went for a Locket of the Iron Solari. So he's going for more of like the team-oriented auras. He doesn't give, an area of, he gives area of effect attack speed. You're going to get the magic resist aura from that locket as well. So Quas going to get jumped on by Zion Spartan. Zion's just going hard. Spear comes out as well. Does almost no damage. The taunt goes off at the same time. It's going to be really hard to chase in after this though. Mashby in the mid lane, picking up the kill onto Jenna as Team Coast continue to force the fight.
Yeah, they picked it up with the ultimate from Caitlyn right there. You're going to go in onto core Kevs. The burst damage coming in from Shifter. There's a lot of tankiness coming out from Kevs, though. The Shen ultimate comes out, and who are they going to chase right now? Quas is going to go into Dome Mashby. He cleanses away from the taunt. Otter picks the kill, and Daydreaming on the side right there. Bishu joining the fight a little bit late here. Going to look to throw a spear at Daydreaming. Just doesn't connect there. Nintendo X going to be taunted up by Quas. He just EQs over the wall, and it will just be a 2-for-1, but in favor of Coast, as still, Zion Spartan is doing his own thing up top and just farming and taking down the tier 2 turret up there.
I want to point out, we talked about how Don't Mash Me always gets CS advantages over his lane opponent, and sure, he's up about 30 CS, but look at the mid lane. It's almost 300 CS for Bishu. He's going to have to hit 300 off of taking down the next wave bottom against only 200 from Shifter. So sure, Shifter has kills and everything, but Bishu is just absolutely stacked right now. I don't understand like the thought process of just giving Bishu the champion that he was just made famous for, not just in solo queue, but even in a lot of the professional games that he played when he was on the Alienware team in Korea. Nobody knew about his Nidalee. I mean, they might have seen him play it in solo queue. As soon as as soon as you started seeing that, just ridiculously strong. He's able to pressure objectives, but only if he knows they're actually happening. Mashby auto-attacking over the wall, and Zion Spartan and Nintendo once again going straight for the same two-man Baron strategy are going to be able to take it down. Knight is going to try to get in there with the Tornado Steel, not able to make it happen.
Snipe comes out the knockup as well. Nintendo X gets exhausted, going to try to make his way out of there. He does have flash available to him, but he will die beforehand, and Janna getting completely destroyed by Shifter right there, as he does pick off the support. Like he said, he likes to feed on those little supports. And now, Baron up Coast once again, their second Baron of the game, as well as roughly about a 4,000 gold lead. Blue buff going to go to Bishu here, and we will see if GGLA can hold this one off.
Yeah, Shifter doesn't even care right now. He's going straight for those supports. He's like, hey, I may not be able to kill, I'll never be able to kill Shen. I won't necessarily be able to kill Cortez because he's really tanky. Doesn't have all that much MR. It's just straight armor from Cortez. So sitting at 48 MR might actually be a target for Shifter, but Shifter goes back to base. He's going to look for that Rabadon's death cap. We'll just go ahead, sell things out, and get that needlessly large rod. Look for a death cap to finish things off.
Yeah, speaking of items, Don't Mash Me finishing up that last Whisper Voice Staff, which just finished for Bishu. Those spears are going to hit like trucks now, but not on Zion Spartan, though, because he is a walking bulldozer of a tank. And just going to see who they send down to respond to him, because he hasn't been in any of the team fights so far. He's just been soloing out and just split pushing. He's at 330 CS at 35 minutes, so looking really good on that score. 370, actually, for Don't Mash Me. And Corkez and Nidus hiding on the side right there. Daydreaming drops a seed, does spot them out. Cocoon comes out, but not going to connect. While Bishu looking to flash away from Zion Spartan right there, connects the spear and does literally no damage to him.
Yeah, Zion Spartan is God mode right now. There's nothing that can stop him. So really, the quest for GGLA is less about split pushing with Quas, and you can see him actually doing a really good job all the way up to the base turrets. But is how on earth do you stop Zion Spartan? Zion's just gonna recall. Quas is kind of dead right now. Unless he starts running like almost immediately, there's no way that he can get himself away from Zion Spartan. He's going to come back and get himself an incredible amount of CS, 340, most CS in the game on Zion Spartan right now.
It's just going to match me.
Okay, 386. All right, second most CS in the game. Saw the wrong digit there. So Mashme is going to continue by CSing the Dragon, the biggest minion of all, as it were. So I don't know if you're. Which team do you feel has the advantage right now? Because I feel like the poke war, the objective, the ability to contest objectives is stronger for GGLA, but the sneaky Barons have both gone to coast, not really allowing GGLA to contest that objective. And now with Zion Spartan, who's just God mode, how do you stop that split push?
Well, it's going to be up to either Quas and one more person to deal with Zion Spartan, even though I think he could 3v1 at this point. But we will see if GGLA can hold this one off. Spears can chunk out Shifter, can chunk out Daydream, and Don't Mash Me, so you can't count him out. Long-range Spears will keep people zoned away. If he does connect him, though, that is the big thing. Shifter winning on the side, though, can assassinate the support or Bishu if he gets lucky, and can get through the barrier / Shen shield if they time it correctly. But either way, Coast looking to have a really big advantage at this point, trying to clear out wards, trying to keep control of their own side, but the Oracles from Daydreamin is putting in work for him, while Zion Spartan just ignoring Quas and keeping on pushing that inhibitor turret.
Yeah, Quas missed his taunt, so
Oh,
there's
don't match
nothing...
me! He's forced to cleanse away from the cocoon.
And taken down to about 400 HP. Nashmi's going to be able to lifesteal back up off these Wraiths. He got full health off of one Wraith camp, so Spear is effective, yes, but anytime Nashmi can just back off, take red buffs, take Wraiths, he's not really going to be too vulnerable to that. Spear's continuing to land, Daydreamin', now below half HP, and it's all on Bishu right now. If he can get the Spears to chunk out either Daydreamin' or Don't Mash Me, it makes it a 4v5, and even with Zion Spartan strong, that at least makes it a fair fight. So if Bishu can keep these Spears coming out, Deathcap Void Staff on, as well as the regen, defensive stats, and cooldowns from the Athenes, I mean, they work super well together, but he needs some help from the rest of his team. Sure, Otter's strong, he's going to have that Guardian Angel in no time at all, but you're really going to need, like we said, something to deal with Zion Spartan's split push, and then something to stop the burst and initiation coming out from Team Coast, because we've talked about every single facet of their team fight that's strong, except for the fact that Don't Mash Me, A, extremely strong as well, B, has Cleanse and QSS to get away from anything that's trying to lock him down, and C, has really been the pushing force for the team, not split pushing, but just straight up walk up to the turret, auto-attack it. What are you going to do about it?
What are you going to do about it? Nothing. You're just going to let it keep happening until you can either 5v1 that Zion Spartan, or Coast looks to group up right now. But for now, everybody's backing. A lot of ward coverage coming out from the side of Daydreamin' on this red side. A lot of pinks in the lane, a lot of greens on the blue side. And Nidus, your man with that Oracle, is going to finally take control and clear out these wards, while Daydreamin' may look to make another round. He's got another Oracles in his inventory, as well as some wards prepped in that site. Stone Spear comes out. Daydreamin' does strafe away from that one. A little sidestep there. But now the ward wars are going to keep continuing. Bishu was waiting to throw some spears, but could not, as GA is picked up by Otter here, and we'll look to see if he can live in the next fight and kite as much as possible and shred some armor with that Gatling gun.
2 minutes left until Baron comes back up, and I don't think Coast are necessarily going to need to sneak this one away. I mean, it's been cool, and it's got them the first two. I wouldn't necessarily call that a gimmick. I'd just call it really, really good positioning and capitalization on, like you said, that lack of ward vision. Cortez looking for a cocoon to start off the next fight. GGLA are just desperately trying to pick a fight where they know Zion Spartan can't rejoin it in time. They also saw Shifter bottom lane, so they were looking to force something there. Couldn't quite get in range for the initiate. Nice sort of backing off there from the entire team. Coast just backing up. They know they don't want to fight right now. They're just saying, hey, we can put things in. If we want to fight, then we'll be stronger, but we do need time to get everybody back into the same area, get that ward coverage and ward control back up. See, Daydream and knew the spear was coming, is going to reestablish that control around the Baron area. That spear from Bishu just did 1,200 damage to Daydreamin', so doesn't want to take another one of those.
Yeah, like I said, the spears from Bishu, if they're on point, they will be able to zone away and keep people safe. The spear comes out again. He leaps forward instead of backwards that time, but Daydreamin' still took a bunch of damage from that and will be forced to either go back to base or just keep on sitting on those pots, which it looks like he's going to go back to base with. Nidus, though, is going to be able to keep clear and keep pressure on their blue side, while the Oracles did just fade for him, unfortunately. So he'll go back to base, most likely pick up another one and keep everything clear, while Zion Spartan just keeps on farming up top. 400 CS right now on a Jax is something you never want to see.
And there's the ace in the hole, target Bishu down below half HP. Landing spears is cool and everything, but when you can just click on somebody, use that ace in the hole to chunk them down below half, that's going to be a pretty good option. Bishu is continuing to be a nice force to stall out the game and really keep Coast from just wanting to run in to a 4v5. Because, hey, like we said, even though Zion Spartan's strong, 4v5s, oh, we just got done watching Velocity versus TBD in the first game, and we all know that those fights, no matter how far ahead you are, don't tend to go in your favor. So if Bishu can make it a 4v5, then we're going to see a pretty even fight between these two teams. But if it's a 5v5, Zion Spartan, he's sitting on 6 items, or 5 items right now, could get a 6th slot, but he does want those wards just to keep himself safe. He's going to be taking out a huge wave in the bottom lane and really forcing GGLA to make a difficult decision between stopping the split push and trying to contest this Baron.
Yeah, which they most likely will try to contest or poke out with Bishu's help, but now they sent Quas bot to try to deal with Zion Spartan, who is going to drop that ward finally, while everybody is still doing the ward wars. And Bishu, oh my gosh, Shifter comes up on the wall and just blows up Nidus, man, before the exhaust can even come out. And just gets running up back out of there and doing what would you call LeBlanc mechanics.
Those are some pretty nice block because Zion Spartan. If you're looking for mechanics, you gotta check that guy out. He's gonna straight up tank up the turret. Does get bonus armor as there is no minions there, but there's nothing Quas can do about it. He cannot fight Zion Spartan right now. Grandmaster's fight's down, but so is the 6th turret of the game. For the first time since 42 minutes ago the game started, we're gonna see the turret advantage go to Team Coast, as well as sneaking their 3rd Baron of the game.
Oh, Kuku gets in the shifter though. There's the Venomous, but there's a spear forcing out the passive. He's gonna repel on top of him, forcing him to use that jump away again while Bishu gonna chase this one down. Spear comes out, he kills the clone though. This damage coming in from Mashmi is just too immense for Bishu. He's just forced to get out of there, forces barrier out, while Quas and Zion Spartan just keep on going at it in the bot lane. They hold off the Baron though, which is what GGLA needed to do.
Yeah, but look at the bottom lane. It's up to Quas now. Nidus coming back, but this is a 2v1 that Zion Spartan just cannot get enough of. The rest of GGLA are going to converge. Can Zion Spartan make it out alive? He's going to have Bishu coming in there, but Bishu's going to get like 2-shot from Zion Spartan if he decides to go in.
Yeah, Zion Spartan was looking to turn.
Yeah, he's just like, come at me, bro. 3v1, I don't really care. He could, like I said, almost 2-shot Bishu right now, so Bishu's going to... He has every single item that he needs.
Kebs.
Oh my goodness, and that's that lack of magic resistance. A null magic mantle really isn't quite gonna cut it against Shifter with almost 600 AP.
Yeah, Kev's just got destroyed right there. But now we are gonna look to see if Otter can steal this one away from Nintendo. He cannot. Smite comes out then, as well as Quas's Shen ultimate. He flashes in. Otter, is he gonna come back in? He does not. Quas got interrupted by the stun from Zion Spartan, and the trap as well as the GA is not enough to keep Mashmi safe. I mean, not Mashmi safe, to keep Otter safe. Well, Mashmi does get the snipe out and does help Shifter get the kill while Zion Spartan is diving on a Quas right now. Taunt comes out. He's going to try to shield up everything he can. The turret is laying into Zion Spartan. A flash for the turret though, but Zion Spartan chases down Fate as well. Is this turret going to do enough? One more turret shot. It will. And Quas actually shut down the 4-0 Zion Spartan.
So first death, the gods can bleed. Zion Spartan dying, going back to base. What is the 6th item going to be? I'm curious because he's sitting on about 3,000 gold. Can buy whatever he wants. I'd love to see like the Young Infinity Edge come out. That'd be pretty cool. But probably will just buy a Guardian Angel. Oh my goodness, he's going for a Hextech Gunblade.
Oh, interesting. All right, so that's gonna be pretty cool to see. But now we are looking at an inhibitor getting damaged out here by the side of Coast. And GGLA gonna try to defend this one up as Shifter does lay in some damage there. Spear comes out, but a minion blocks it from Mashmi, and the inhibitor will fall as it will be the first inhibitor of the game going over to Team Coast.
That's what we talked about earlier. GGLA, their saving grace is Bishu's spears, but when A, they start not really dealing all that much damage, and B, when you can't really land those, if the spears aren't landing, it's just gonna be don't mash me. You can see him play these team fights so fearlessly. It's not that he's not afraid of dying, it's that he knows that if they're putting pressure on him, Zion Spartan is really the hard carry right now. And in team fights, if you're trying to pick off don't mash me, that's cool and everything, but there's really nobody to do that. Otter's going to be forced to hit the front line. Bishu has to either land a nice spear that somehow bypasses the front line and hits the carries, because if Quas dives in, and even if Nidus gets some nice CC out, there's not going to be a whole lot of damage threats from GGLA. They don't have a high damage team if you don't land the spears. And that last push that netted Team Coast the inhibitor, you only saw like one spear land, and I think it hit Nintendo, so not a whole lot lost from that.
Not at all. And now we're going to see Team Coast look to roam towards that bot lane right now. Korkeb's going to be able to get out of there with a nice back. But now blue buffed up Shifter going to be coming into the party. Nidus has been clearing out wards with that Oracles and trying to take control of their red side once again. Baron up Coast still has 4 members with that one. The only one to lose it was Zion Spartan. And it looks like they're roaming towards mid lane and leaving Zion's spot. Maybe they're just going to go up top and keep shoving out the waves and look to pressure another inhibitor turret, as Daydreaming does ward more towards the blue side. Quas, though, does spot out Daydreaming, gets a taunt, laying into him with a lot of damage. The Trinity Force helping him out quite a bit there. Otter laying in some rockets as well. The spear doesn't connect. Oh my god, the final rocket does pick up the kill. Help Quas pick up the kill, excuse me. As Quas is now chasing down Don't Mash Me. He's forced to use that QSS to get out of there. And the cleanse is coming up in a few seconds. But now drops the trap, disengages, the spear comes out, but Shifter will just dash away. And his Banshee's Veil is now popped.
Quas the God really getting the initiation that the rest of his team needs. His Home Guard boots are going to keep that bottom turret alive. Trinity Force for Shen gives him a lot of trade options against Jax, but when you have that hybrid sustain from Hextech Gunblade, you can't actually deal damage to Jax right now.
Yeah, and now he's just going to lay into the turret, ignore Quas just a little bit there. Just there he goes, right back. The Sheen proc as well for the Trinity Force. He's just going to keep on going in with that one. No one is back inside. GGLA is going to dodge some of those attacks from Quas, and he will be able to get this inhibitor. GGLA is trying to counteract this one, though, by getting an inhibitor mid, but it looks like Zion Spartan's just going to be able to just get this inhibitor for free.
Yeah, there's just no way that Quas can stop him. He just does not deal enough damage, and anytime Zion wants to heal, he can just start clicking on Quas and getting all of his HP back. You can't auto-attack him to try to deal damage because, oh wait, he has...
There's the Gunblade, there's the Randuins, there's the stun, and the kill.
Gunblade, Randuins, and Blade of the Ruined King. How you're going to move anywhere against triple active item slows is going to be beyond me. But now it's Zion in a 2v1. Can't leave. Strike does get knocked up. Spear's not landing. And now Zion's trying to make his way around the Nexus to escape from the other side. Spears continue to land, and it's the big one getting given to Zion's part, and they will finally take him out.
Yep, but for that, they lost the third inhibitor of the game, and now double super minions are going to spawn in these lanes and keep on shoving down them and forcing the side of GGLA to stay defensive and in their base, as now Coast just looking to finish this one out, as I don't know any team that's ever come back from double super minions coming through here, in the challenger scene at least.
Yeah, all three inhibs down. Super minions in the base. Shifter going in, chunking out Otter. Ignites down. He's getting a nice heal up there. Can he make it back to base in time? He didn't try for the red buff save that Don't Mash Me is very famous for, but it's just going to be enough to take him out of the fight. Quas down for another 20 seconds. Kez and Bishu becoming the front line and actually will stave off the super minions for now. And Team Coast backing out. GGLA are getting one last shot at saving this game.
Yeah, Coast is going to back out, finish up their final items, and look to close this one out most likely, unless GGLA comes up with a miracle play and does defend it. There's a minute and 40 seconds left on this Baron to come back up, as Mashpee does steal away the red buff. The blue buff was stolen away as well from Coast, and GGLA is now stuck defending their base and not being able to leave it.
Yeah, I think it was Team Coast that stole away the blue buff, or from GGLA. But either way, it's going to be all that GGLA can do to keep minions out of their base. I mean, this is kind of cool in that it gives GGLA the opportunity to farm up, but there's no way that you can outscale a 6-item Jax. The only itemization choice that we might see Zion Spartan change is the Gunblade into a Rage Blade, but the triple active item slows is just way too much. Once he sees you, you can't escape. And unless you can 1v1 him, and nobody really can, he's going to get the fights that he wants, and anytime you can force somebody to fight you and you're stronger, I mean, that doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that's probably a good idea.
Yeah, the inhibitor in the mid lane did respawn though, but we will look to see if GGLA can defend this while Zion Spartan just bypasses everything and looks to draw the attention of anybody that can, while Coast just groups up mid and lays into this inhibitor very soon. And there's the root coming out, but doesn't connect. Otter has GA up and available to him, so Shifter doesn't want to look to one-shot him just yet. But Spears come out, not going to get to mash me there. And just going to see Coast now finally see this one down, take the third inhibitor again of the game, and maybe now they're going to look to close it out.
All right, well, you're going to have a hard time hitting your opponents when there's seven super minions onto your Nexus turrets. Quas going to tank up the ace of the hole. Didn't actually deal all that much damage. And so you can see a very strong defense. Team Coast just playing this very, very safely, very carefully, poking in onto those turrets. Don't Mash Me getting in there. First Nexus turret falls.
Oh.
Second one, a flash taunt onto Don't Mash Me. Quas goes in, gets completely destroyed by Shifter.
Yeah, and now we do have Core Kevs getting taken out there by Nintendo X, as Zion Spartan is just going ham on the backline. Does take down Nidus for man right there, and jumping onto Otter. He does flash away. The stun does not connect, and the Nexus is their target, and game will go over to GGLA, not GGLA, of Coast versus GGLA. Coast win that one.
Coast remain undefeated in NACL. They will pick up their second win in day 2. That will make it a 1-1 score for GGLA, but still an impressive performance. He's ending the game with 424 CS, 487 for Otter, but no one quite able to out-CS Don't Mash Me at 531. And in a 51-minute game with double the kills and a little bit over double the turrets, Team Coast will take out Gold Gaming Los Angeles, closing out our second game of the night.
Yeah, and now that the game is over, we will give a shout-out to our most recent subs. Thanks to Natchmaster07, we do have Rooktoom 420, Mike Hunt 111. I can't read that name. We got Dunger Smealer 420, and then we got Mulsted by Moreyo. And that is it for the subs. So thank you all for subbing and supporting the Challenger scene. And we're going to run some music and get ready with game number 3, which is going to be Complexity versus Napkins in Disguise.
Yeah, it's a rematch of the MCS and EPS Grand Finals. So some of the best Challenger teams in North America. You just got to see Coast and GGLA. Well, coming up is going to be one of the best matches of the evening. Complexity take on Napkins in Disguise when the North American Challenger League continues. Don't go anywhere.